What's up, y'all? It's your girl Andrea, Unfiltered, and today we're gonna be talking about life as a high school student. Okay, so to begin with, everywhere on YouTube, the main thing I usually see when it comes to Romanian educational system is life as a student in the university level, and it's brought out my curiosity. Like, why don't others speak of the lower institutions like high school, middle school? I can talk about middle school in another video, but today we're gonna be focusing on high school. Now, to make it clear, I am half Romanian and half Nigerian. I spent 12 years of my life in Nigeria, which included about 2 years in secondary slash high school over there. And when I came here, I I was in middle school at first. I was put in middle school, and now I am a high school student in my second year. That's the 10th grade. To begin with, I think it's best to start with the cons. That's way you stay motivated positively. Okay, let's go. So I'll start with a very minor one, which I think is almost globally in most high schools in Romania. The bathrooms aren't very promising. I mean, no toilet paper, sometimes no soap, you know, to wash your hands, but there is running water in most of them. I said most. But yeah, it's like a 50-50 chance sometimes. Yeah. Now, in a lot of countries, it's very normal to have maybe a 30 minutes break, 1 hour, some schools 2 hours break, it depends, okay? But one thing that's really common in the Romanian educational system, not just in high school, is a 10 minutes break after every class. Although some may see this as an advantage, that's oh, they get to rest after every class, after every hour, but the truth is, how much can you do within 10 minutes? You, like, in some schools, maybe they get the opportunity to play football or just do some sort of outdoor activity during the break time. Yeah, that barely happens here because of how short the time is. So maybe you could just get a sandwich and yeah, eat within that time. You can't really bring food unless you're really fast at eating, which you shouldn't rush yourself. It ain't healthy. Okay. Now, one problem in high school could be distance for some people. What do I mean by that? When we write the national evaluation in the 8th grade, which is an exam which qualifies you from the middle school to high school, um, you kind of almost not have a choice. Like, transferring isn't very easy. Therefore, students who live in other communities, probably farther, much farther from the city where the high school is in, or just farther from the high school, will have to find it more difficult coming to school, maybe using the train from a very far distance, maybe buses could be limited, and just a whole bunch of problems from distance. So the next cons, which that brought us to, is um this one about not really having a choice. Although I'm not 100% sure if foreigners who maybe wants to transfer from high school to high school could have better choices, but this mainly goes for those who are coming from middle school to high school in Romania. Now, this is where you write the national evaluation based on your grades, based on the empty seats and vacancies. You kind of not have a choice of where you're gonna be at. And I think in a lot of countries, this could be similar. I don't know. It's quite similar, I guess. The thing is, you do get to choose the high schools you're going to, the ones you want, like your choices, but your grades and the vacancies assign you to whatever high school you have to go to, and it could be far away from you but in the same county. It could be really close. Yeah, it just depends on your grades and the amount of vacancies, and you almost don't have an option. I mean, if you do have an option, it will be really hard to transfer, but yeah, you get it. So, as of now, these are all the cons I could think of. If I do remember any, I will add it up later on if I do remember. Now we can talk about the pros of being a high school student in Romania. First thing I can think of is that your transportation will be free for both middle school and high school students. Um, you're gonna have free transportation. Yeah. Secondly, based on the grade you're in, there is a possibility that your timetable will be flexible. In some grades, in some high schools, you have the chances to have afternoon classes and morning classes, but it depends. Like in my high school, the ninth and 12th graders go in the morning, they have morning classes, and the 10th and 11th graders have afternoon classes until the evening time. Some people hate this, some people don't. I personally don't like the afternoon classes. They're very draining and exhausting, but they have their own pros, which is having more sleep. And as for the morning classes, you get to do whatever you want after school, like hangouts or just rest, and then rest longer in the evening. But you don't have enough sleep in the morning. Now, if you're a high school student or even a middle school student in Romania, my best pro is scholarship. If you have outstanding performances, um, or just a like outstanding performance during the past year, the next year you're gonna be paid monthly for that. So yeah, I think it really encourages students to prioritize education and to really give them what they deserve, like from waking up early and just their hard work, put into their studies and stuff. Now, something that's almost very obvious to most European countries is that Romania is one of the countries which writes the baccalaureate exam, which means that if a Romanian student or a person finishes um, their high school education in Romania, writes the baccalaureate exam, it's easier for them to go to university in other European countries, which also writes the baccalaureate exam. Now, over here, I think a nice comparison to Nigerian secondary schools, high schools, would be diversity in the profiles in high school. Over here, you have theoretical high schools, you have economic high schools, technical high schools, and a bunch of other high schools, arts, so many. And each of them have their own profiles: philology, math and science, um, natural sciences, social sciences, technical fields like the food industry, so many more. And they all have, in technical schools, you get to practicalize. Sometimes you get to practice. So if you're a student or a pupil who plans on coming to Romania for high schooling, these are all the pros and cons I can think of. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and if you feel like leaving a comment, feel free to do so. So, according to your time zones, good morning, afternoon, or good night, like over here, and see you next time. Bye bye.